Everybody, this is Dream, and after a really good day yesterday, we got another little 8-game slate here on Saturday for NBA fantasy. So overall, before I get started, can you guys please smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel. With that said, let's get into the players themselves. So at point guard, we are going to look at Reggie Jackson first here. Reggie Jackson is going to be the starter for the Clippers, and Wall and Kawhi Leonard are off the game today, so he will be a bigger part of the offense. He's still a little bit risky as a result, but I still think he's in a pretty decent price on this particular slate. Another guy I really like is Drew Holiday. Now, he's way too expensive on DraftKings, but he's in a great salary here on Fanduel, and so he's one of my favorite plays. With Middleton out, he gets a lot of play, and so he's one of my favorite plays on this particular slate. Kyle Lowry is in another good spot here for Miami. He's pretty inexpensive today, and he has some good upside. He should play around 30 or so minutes. As long as Oladipo is out, he's a good play, but if Oladipo is playing, then he's somebody I wouldn't like as much. Derek White's a good value play at the point guard position. He's been good in his first two games. He should get around 25 minutes. He usually actually does better than he did in the first game against Philadelphia, but he's got an easier matchup today against Orlando, so he should be able to play here and do well. Then we're going to look at Luka Doncic. Now, Doncic is in a great spot here uh, for himself, and his price point is still pretty fair for his potential production in this game. A team who he actually absolutely smashed last year, so I expect him to do very well in this particular game. Tyrese Halliburton is proving that he is a guy that is going to be playable night in and night out because he has double-double potential with the assists, and he still gets some rebounds and stuff, and he's going to be the focal point of the offense when it comes to scoring, especially with Miles Turner out. He's going to be one of my favorite point guards on the slate. And then SGA, Shea Alexander, I mean, what can you say about this guy? He is the offense for Oklahoma City, and he's going to have opportunity to get double-doubles and triple-doubles as the season progresses. He's also great defensively, and so he definitely gives you points like that. He's really good on FanDuel, especially because of the steals and blocks and stuff he can get. And the only real risk with him is his price point's pretty high today, but I still think he's in a good spot. Then we're going to look at shooting guard. We're going to take a look at Drew Holiday again, who I already mentioned. Karis LeVert is in a great spot here for Cleveland. His price is pretty fair, and he should be able to get around 25 to 30 fantasy points in this one with their starting point guard out, and so that helps. LeVert tends to have more opportunities whenever certain guys get hurt. Then Norman Powell, if he does start for the Clippers, and he'll be a good option here. His price point is super decent. It's not assuming that he does end up starting and he's going to play 30 or so minutes, but you do have to make sure that he's starting and going to be one of the focal points of the offense. Sometimes they put in Morris or some other guys too, so just be aware of that. Derek White for Boston's in a pretty good spot here. His price point is pretty good. He typically does better than this first game, but he's got an easier matchup today against Orlando, so I do like him. I think I already mentioned him actually at point guard, but anyway. Then Grayson Allen, his price really didn't come up from his first game. He is still a very boomer bust player because he relies on 3-point shots, and he's not going to get a lot of rebounds and stuff like that, but he still has some upside in this matchup. Luka Doncic, again, see here, Paul George, obviously he's going to be the focal point for the Clippers. He's not as ideal as you think, just because his price point's a little bit high, but he's still in a good spot, and it just depends on how the Clippers play it today. Tyrese Halliburton, I already mentioned Tyler Hero. I already mentioned him, I think. No, actually I didn't. I'm sorry. Tyler Hero, he's at $6,200. He is going to start assuming that Oladipo doesn't play, and he'll be a great option at this good price point. Now, you do have to make sure Oladipo doesn't play, so be aware of that. If Oladipo plays, that will hurt him significantly. Benedict Mathurin, he's another guy I like, okay, but his price point has come up some, and I don't know, it's hard to say if he's going to be able to continue the success he's had in the first two games. But he should get some more minutes as a result of the way he's playing. But still, you still have to be a little bit aware that he doesn't always play a ton of minutes, 27 to 28 minutes. So just be aware that he could have a bad game here. At small forward, we have Sadiq Bey. He seems like he's pretty fairly priced here against Indiana. He's been pretty good so far to start the season, and his price point is pretty fair. I think he's a good spot. Michael Porter Jr. is a very hit or miss player. He will sometimes score 35, 40 fantasy points. Sometimes he'll score 15. That's the unfortunate thing with him. I think with Murray back, he's got a little bit more risk as a result, but he's still in an interesting position in a plus matchup. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo, sorry for butchering your name. Anyhow, he has upside in this matchup against Houston, excuse me, who he absolutely just destroyed last year with like 78 fantasy points. I expect him to have potential to get there again. Obviously, his price point is super high, so you're going to need some value if you're going to roster him. But there is value available on the slate. Karis LeVert is another guy I like, okay. Now, Cleveland, he should be able to get some opportunity, but his price point is up a little bit. Not super ideal because his price has come up as a result of the injuries before this game, but still a good option. C.D. Osman is a guy that he is kind of a boom or bust option here. He has potential, but he's still pretty risky, even at his low price point. Same goes for Buddy Hield. I meant to mention him. His price point is a little bit higher than I really like it to be, but he still has good potential, and he still plays around 25 to 30 minutes. And so I do like him in this matchup, especially against Detroit, who he should have a good opportunity to score well. And he does have big boom games sometimes, so his price point is still pretty forgiving from that perspective. At power forward, we have Sengun for Houston. He's in a pretty good spot here. One of the things I like about this guy is that he's playing about 25 minutes, and he's getting, about a point per minute. And at this price point, he can definitely do that. You do have to be aware that one of the guys on Houston's been hurt the first 2 games is back, so we do have to consider that. But he's still an interesting option. I already talked about him. Bobby Portis, I would really like him a lot more if he would start. Otherwise, he's not getting quite enough minutes to pay off here. But he still has the potential for double-doubles and stuff like that, and getting at about a point per minute is pretty good. Then Jokic for the Denver. He's in a pretty good spot here, averaging almost 50 fantasy points a game so far. Obviously, this is a matchup where he needs to get a triple-double to really work, but he has that capability against a weaker Oklahoma City team inside. Isaiah Jackson is a guy you're going to have to check. If he does get an opportunity to start, which I feel like they're going to do eventually, Isaiah, sorry about that, then he'll have a big opportunity. He has really good opportunity, but he's only playing 15 minutes a game so far, and while he's doing well in those minutes, it's not enough to roster him. But if he can get a start, that would definitely help. Santa Aldama, he is an interesting play. If Dylan Brooks is out, he's definitely going to have some added advantage here. I actually still think he's a pretty good play on this particular slate with the price point that he's at, because he still has upside in this matchup. And then Pascal Siakam for Toronto. He had an absolute monster game yesterday with a triple-double. He's going to get around 5 or 6 assists most games, and if he can combine that with a double-double and rebounds and points, he should still be able to hit this 43 fantasy point number that we need, and actually really hit better than that. Even in the first game where he got almost no assists, he got there. And so it's just a matter of him doing that. Now, just be aware that Miami does play slower, and he does have a tougher matchup against Bam, but still overall a good option. And then finally for center, I just have one guy to add, since everybody else I've already mentioned can play at center, is Domantas Sabonis. Now, he didn't have a good first game against Portland, but Portland is a little faster team, and I think here against the Clippers he'll have more opportunity because they're a little bit bigger team. And so I think he's in a good spot here to have a pretty decent game. He is still a little bit risky because he hasn't played well to start the season, but overall I still like him as a good option. So with that said, thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. If there's any players you feel like I left out, feel free to leave them below. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those below. Make sure to join Discord and like and subscribe, and I really do appreciate it. Have a nice day, guys.